Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Al, and the Shaman update for the War Within beta is here. Sorta, almost. They released a hotfix for some of the Shaman talents a little bit early, but these talents are not really complete, not until they restart the realms and push out another beta build. However, today we did get a bit of a preview with them accidentally putting things out. We did get a new blue post that goes over all of the different changes that are coming to the class of Shaman over the next few days, which is going to be a brand new raid buff available for every single class spec, as well as new talents for elemental, as well as generic talents, the enhancement adjustments, which is not as many as you think there might be, as well as changes for restoration as well, which all look so good. And this video is primarily my initial reactions and reading to all of the new blue posts that were made available as of today. So hopefully we'll be able to test out some of these changes live as we stream later tonight or tomorrow whenever the new build becomes available. But if you guys enjoy these kind of regular updates like these for classes, be sure to follow the channel. Otherwise, let's dive right in. So this is going to be kind of difficult for me to go over all of these changes because not all of them are implemented. A lot of them are arriving sometime later today as I'm releasing this video. So we will take a look at what I can show you in terms of the class talents, spec things, but then I also will go over the blue posts themselves of what is being added for shamans as a generalized thing. And I want to start off with the article here that reads into a brand new raid buff coming to every spec of Shaman. You know how enhancement shamans have had access to Wind Fury totem for a little bit, which is only a party buff, not a raid buff? Well, shamans are finally getting a raid buff, so you will need to bring a shaman to every single raid. And this is exciting because it seems to be a raid buff that is available for all three specs: Resto, Elemental, Enhancement, not just Enhance. So this means that you could bring an LA Shaman into a raid now, which is one of those things I was kind of worried about Shaman going forward. It all depends how strong these talents are going to be, but at the very least, Shaman has now secured a guaranteed spot when it comes to endgame content. So the buff is going to be Sky Fury. Throughout Dragonflight and the War Within development, the topic of raid buffs has actively been discussed, and we've come to the decision to add a new raid buff to the Shaman class. The goal for it is to fully replace the Wind Fury buff previously brought by enhancement shamans and grant Elemental Resto access to a buff. Sky Fury allows you to harness the fury of the Windlord to grant your target ally 2% mastery and empower their auto attacks to have a 20% chance to instantly strike again for 1 hour. And this, yes, is a raid buff that will be learned at level 17, which is actually just massive. This is huge, and I'm very excited about the I guess the way that this buff works, because this basically brings the best parts of enhancement and allows you to play Resto, Elemental, Enhancement. This gives raids a flexibility angle where the shaman can basically play whatever you want to. You just need to bring a shaman. So if you're missing a healer, you could bring a Resto. If you need more melee for the kicks or AoE, you got Enhancement. You need another range, which hopefully Elemental will get a couple of changes so they're viable as a range build. You can go range. This is an awesome change in general. Speaking about general changes, there's also a bunch of general changes that are coming to the talent tree for the class of Shaman. Off the bat, we see a handful of talents here that are familiar, such as Frost Shock, Astral Shift, Wind Shear, your Earth Shield. You could actually have both Earth Grab and Wind Rush totem, so you can have access to both of these totems, one on a 30-second cooldown, the other on a 2-minute cooldown. So this gives you quite a lot of totems. You can pick up Healing Stream totem, Capacitor, Tremor, so you have a few more totems now that you can specialize into if that is so you wish. You can still pick up things such as Thunderstorm, as well as Spirit Walker's Grace, as well as other options over here, like something that's supposed to be an upgrade for Wind Rush totem, or maybe something that goes off of Voodoo Mastery and Nature's Fury, which then unlocks you the capstones, which kind of are more or less the same, just everything is in a slightly different position. Though there is a new one here that we can take a look at, and that is Stone Bulwark Totem. 2-minute cooldown, quite a bit of health on it. Summons an Earth Totem with 241,000 health at the feet of the caster for 30 seconds, granting the caster a shield, absorbing 200,000 damage for 10 seconds, and up an additional 50,000 every 5 seconds. So it's a shield totem that refreshes every few seconds. Quite a bit of defensive potential for shamans. No longer do we have the totem that was on the same row as Poison Cleansing Totem, which provided you a 10% physical damage reduction, I believe. But if you want to pick this up as well, Poison Toxic Totem, now you can. I love the amount of totems you can actually grab. Not too many new ones in the class tree, but you never really know what these whole things are going to be. Season Winds is a PvP talent that has been added towards the class talent trees in the general section as well. Interrupting a spell with Wind Shear decreases your damage taken from that spell school by 15% for 8 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. So as a shaman, if let's say you're doing a dungeon where most mobs in a dungeon do shadow damage, and there's plenty of casts that are shadow damage, interrupting them gives you a pretty big DR against that type of damage. This could be massive depending on the situation or the content, but as a shaman, you're so much more encouraged to get that interrupt because that is your own survivability that could be potentially improved. Big fan of this one, no longer a PvP talent, and will likely be adjusted and moved around places. Also, yeah, I guess we talked about Skyfear. I still have Skyfear totem here, so I'm gonna guess that that's going to get adjusted, or it's going to get baked into the sky, or maybe it'll be a Skyfear totem and a Skyfear buff specifically. I don't really know, but yeah, you can see Season Winds is a PvP talent, likely will get removed as of tomorrow. Some of the newer talents that are going to be added are going to be Elemental Resistance, where Healing from Healing Stream Totem reduces fire, frost, and nature damage by 6% for 3 seconds. Healing from Cloudburst Serum reduces that by 3%. So you are encouraged to play around Healing Stream for that extra defense if you were to so choose. Another talent, Refreshing Water, is the Healing Surge is 25% more effective on yourself. I believe that is actually already a totem here. That is a talent over here that we actually can take a look at. Traveling Storms apparently has also been adjusted. Thunderstorm can now be cast on allies within 40 yards, so you can use this on an ally to give them a knockback in PvE. That is awesome. This used to be a PvP talent. Reduces enemies' movement speed by 60%, knocks enemies 25% further. Thundershock and knock enemies 100% higher. So if you are... Wait. That doesn't make sense because you can't pick up Thundershock and Traveling Storms. I'm gonna guess that they're gonna adjust the tooltip for this one, but this was a PvP talent before. But yeah, so you can either apply Traveling Storms to knock back allies away from your target or knock enemies up into the air. I like this Traveling Storm change by quite a bit. This could actually be really, really solid in the PvE content. That could be really, really good. Some of the other talents that are going to be here is most likely off of Frostshock, and one of these ones, it is going to be called Encasing Cold. Frostshock snares its target by additional 10%, duration increased by 2 seconds, or Arctic Snowstorm. Enemies within 10 yards of your Frostshock are snared by 30%, so you're going to have an AoE or a better slow from your Frostshock ability. Talents that are going to upgrade your Windrush Totem are going to be things such as Ascending Air. The cooldown of Windrush Totem is reduced by 30 seconds, and its movement speed effect lasts additional 2 seconds, or Enhanced Imbues. The effect of your weapon imbues increased by 20%. Okay, so that's not going to be buffing your Windrush Totem. Most likely it's going to be either this one or this one over here. From there on, we have the Stone Bulwark Totem, which we talked about earlier. New talent, Jetstream. Most likely is going to be one of those. So it's going to buff up Windrush Totem. Windrush Totem's movement speed bonus increased by 10%, and now removes snares. That could be really, really good. New talent, Primordial Bond. While you have an elemental active, your damage taken is reduced by 5%. So this is actually available for testing right now. Voodoo Mastery has also been redesigned. Apparently, it is now going to be adjusted. So the current Voodoo Mastery seeing right now is different than what we have coming up next build. Your Hex target is low by 70% during Hex and for 6 seconds afterwards. Also reduces the cooldown of Hex by 15 seconds. So it's going to be an add-on bonus. Then also things such as Flurry have been moved from the class tree into the enhancement tree directly. The ability of Gust of Wind now is a 30-second cooldown. Actually, it is being reduced down to 20 seconds instead. So it's going to be a little bit more competitive, I think, to Spirit Walk. And things such as Lightning Lasso as well as Thundershock are no longer sharing location on a choice node. But the same thing can also be said about Earthgrab Totem as well as Windrush Totem. So those are all really, really good changes specifically. Then we have the talent tree for the Elemental Shaman, which looks a little bit different. I kind of want to see if I can roll back all of my talents that I spent just so we can take a look at every single one of these nodes. Again, still work in progress, but we'll still take a look at what we have, and we'll as well as go over all of the new talents that are in this blue post. So off the bat, Elemental Shamans will choose between Elemental Blast or Earth Shock. I like this already because usually you kind of have to invest into one or the other. So normally you have to invest a point into Earth Shock, and then to upgrade it's another point to Elemental Blast. But here that just comes down to just one talent point. Makes Elemental Blast builds a little bit better, but also it's basically the same ability, just choosing the cost and how you end up using that ability. That's, at the end of the day, that's kind of what matters for Elemental. From there on, we have things such as Elemental Fury that buffs your critical strike damage. Then we have things such as Aftershock, which can cause your Earthshock, Early Blast, and Earthquake a chance to refund Maelstrom spend, or Surge of Power, where after using those abilities, your next Flame Shock, Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Lava Burst, and Frost Shock has an additional bonus, so that's kind of nice. And then goes down to Unrelenting Calamity, where you reduces the cast time of your Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning by 0.25% seconds, increases the duration of Earthquake by 1 second, so just a nice benefit that kind of flows off in the middle row. On the left hand side, we have something that's going to be competitive to Earthquake. I'm not really sure exactly what it is, but you could basically pick Earthquake or something else instead. Excited to see what that's going to be. Then Flash of Lightning, which gives some cooldown reduction, and then something else is going to be on the left hand side. Right hand side, we got Fire Elemental, Storm Melee, which goes into Echo of the Elements, Master of the Elements, and then something down there. From there on, we have a lot of open nodes that go into Flux Melting. We have Swelling Maelstrom in the middle, Primordial Fury, which goes into another talent, but it's mostly a defensive talent than anything. Flow of Powers over here for a bit better Lightning Bolt and Lava Burst Maelstrom generation. Power of Maelstrom, improved Flame Tongue weapon, which actually goes into a talent of Earthen Rage, an older talent from, I believe it was either BFA or if not Shadowlands, or maybe even before that. Damage and spells inside the earth around you to come to your aid for 6 seconds, repeatedly dealing nature damage to your target. Basically, it has a pretty cool animation where earth rises around you and spikes and kind of shoots out at the target, almost like glacial or icicles for a frost mage to a degree, but they kind of have a different animation. I like that one a lot. A lot of our choices at the bottom right, which is going to lead into Flames of Cauldron for better cooldown reduction on Flame Shock, as well as Flame Shock deals additional damage. So as you can see, a lot of these talents, there's going to be some choice notes, some ability options, but the kind of creating not, it's hard to, usually all the class talents are usually very thematic. Like maybe down the left hand side was very lightning based, while right hand side was very lava based, and there's some linked identity to that still, but it's so many open nodes here, it's hard to tell exactly what they're trying to do with it. But as you can see, as we put more points in, it goes into things such as Stormkeeper, which is a lot easier to reach being down the middle. Primordial Wave on the right hand side for a bit of fire damage. Ascendance down the middle that can then be procced with Deeply Rooted. So you can pick up Ascendance as well as the proc of Deeply Rooted. Huh, that's interesting. Down the middle we have Fury of Storms, where activating Stormkeeper summons a Lightning Elemental to fight your side for 8 seconds. I wonder how strong that thing could be. Primal Elemental is your Fire, Lightning, Storm Elementals, all are 80% more powerful than regular Elementals, and I wonder if that applies to Fury of the Storms as well. Lightning Rod is down the middle as a capstone choice, and another capstone choice here is a Liquid Magma Totem, which is very interesting. Some of the totems, so basically it's the same Liquid Magma unless it gets changed, and then Echoes of Great Sundering is going to be a way to buff up your Earthquake damage after an Earthshock or an LA Blast. That's going to be your capstones now. Interesting. Still, a lot of missing pieces, but maybe the Blue Post has some idea of what these things could be. A new talent, Fusion of Elementals. After casting Ice Fury, the next time you cast a nature or a fire spell, you additionally cast an Elemental Blast at your target for 60% effectiveness. So Ice Fury, and then next time you cast a nature and a fire. So you cast Ice Fury, followed with a nature and fire, and then you get Ele Blast. That could be interesting. I like the combos of shamans with all the elementals and elemental abilities and how they can kind of fuse them together. So that's a very interesting change. New talent, Storm Frenzy. Next Chain Lightning or Lightning Bolt has a 40% reduced cast time after casting Earthshock, Ele Blast, or Earthquake. Can accumulate up to 2 charges. That could be really good to get a bunch of bursts together, and that could even help you chain a bunch of damage out. That could be so fun with Storm Frenzy. New talent, Elemental Unity. While Storm Elemental is active, nature damage dealt is increased by 10%. While Fire is active, your fire damage is increased by 10%. I like that as well. New talent, Lightning Conduit. While Lightning Shield is active, your nature damage dealt is increased by 8%. Just an 8% nature damage buff. They're really trying to make that lightning-based playstyle for Stormbringer a little bit better, are they not? New talent, Thunderstrike Ward. Imbue your shield with the element of lightning for 1 hour, giving Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning a chance to call down 2 Thunderstrikes at your target. Whoa, there's some really cool thematic things they're doing here. Talent, Earthen Rage. Your spell incites Earth. Yeah, we took a look at that earlier with this one right here. So that's even more nature damage. New talent, Echo of the Elementals. When your Storm Elemental or Fire Elemental expires, it leaves behind a lesser elemental to keep attacking targets for 15 seconds. I think there used to be a trait back in BFA on one of the Azurite gears, so that's coming back, I guess. New talent, First Ascendant. Cooldown of Ascendance is reduced by 60 seconds. You can reduce it I guess there is choice notes here, but 2-minute Ascendance could be very good. Wow. New talent, Preeminence. Preeminence. Okay, close enough. Your haste is increased by 25% while Ascendance is active, and his duration increased by 3 seconds. That could also be really good. New talent, Fury of the Storms. Activate Stormkeeper, summons an elemental. We took a look at that earlier. Primordial Fury has been redesigned, now increases the critical strike damage bonus of Elemental Fury by 25%. Okay, so that's going to be a little bit different apparently. Ice Fury has been redesigned. Casting Lava Burst has a chance to replace your Frost Shock with Ice Fury. Stack it up to 2 times. So Ice Fury is no longer an ability. It is instead going to be a proc of a Lava Burst. So fire becomes ice. Interesting. And Ice Fury now empowers the next 2. Frost Shock was 4. The mastery for Elemental Shaman apparently is being changed completely. That is interesting. So Unit Master is going to be Elemental Overload, has been redesigned, increases all physical and elemental damage dealt. The damage of Elemental Overload is now 25% of the normal damage was 85. So Mastery is going to buff damage and will still give you Elemental Overload's damage. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. There's a whole lot of adjustments here for Elemental Shaman that I don't think are really quantifiable in a single, let's take a look at the blue post type of video. This definitely needs to be tested out as soon as they are available, but man, this sounds all really, really good. It seems like there's a lot of attention being brought in for a lightning-based and nature-based playstyle to really help Stormbringer out a little bit here. And I'm very excited to see what that could potentially work out into as a playstyle option. There's some interesting combinations together, and the adjustments to their mastery to better benefit physical and elemental damage, as well as the adjustment to elemental overloads, may give elemental shamans a bit better scaling when it comes to the overall mastery, because right now there is a cap. It simply just increases your percent chance of you hitting that elemental overload on spells, but instead it'll just increase your damage as well as the damage of overloads, which is really good because that means it continues to scale. You can stack mastery past a certain point and continue getting value from it. That is a huge change and something I am glad that elemental shamans are seeing in this recent blue post. As for the spec of enhancement, we're actually going to be very brief here because they didn't get a lot of changes. For the most part, I think enhancement has been one of the specs that has been fairly well put together for a little bit of time now, and they are getting quite a bit out of Stormbringer Totemic, but even since they added Stormbringer Totemic, besides a handful of bugs here and there, they've been mostly both functional for enhancement specifically. They've been more awkward for Ellie, as well as some of them have been more awkward for Resto, but for enhancement it's been more functional. So some of the things that they're getting is going to be Maelstrom Weapon, now learned at level 10, which has been removed from the class tree. Feral Lunge learned at level 14. Elemental Blast damage reduced by 25%, but it's still here in like a weird non-node type of look, but I'm sure that'll be solved later. And following talents have been removed, such as Wind Fury Totem, which is baseline with Sky Fury. We got Focus Insight and Refreshing Waters. So for the most part, the enhancement doesn't really change a lot here whatsoever. So this is like the most functional spec I think right now at the moment, but I'm very excited to see what Elemental is going to look like after all of this. As for Restoration Shaman, we do have quite a significant amount of changes. Not as many as Elemental, which has a lot of holes to, fill, but here we are. It has a couple of changes, couple of adjustments, couple of free spots here. Though I have to take a look at the entire blue post. It doesn't seem that any of the new blue post updates are actually in the Restoration Shaman talent tree. So all of these adjustments are going to be basically in the blue post that we get to read. New talent of Tidewaters. Whenever you cast Healing Rain, each ally with Riptide on them is healed. I believe that used to be a tier set, maybe back in Dragonflight. New talent, First Ascendant. The cooldown of Ascendance is reduced by 60 seconds, so the similar type of Ascendance type of playstyle that is available for Elemental looks like it's going to be available for Restoration. Also, Preeminence is also there as well. Haste is increased by 25%, while Ascendance is active. Duration increased by 3 seconds. A new talent, Reactive Warding. When refreshing Earth Shield, your target is healed for each stack of Earth Shield they are missing. When refreshing Water Shield, you are refunded mana for each stack of Water Shield you're missing. So if you do need to refresh the shields, that could also be really good for extra resource or self or healing potential. Your talent, White Water. Your critical heals have a 115% effectiveness instead of usual 200. So there's a crit healing benefit now, a crit heal enhancement for restoration. They're kind of like becoming elemental with crit healing. That could be interesting. New talent, Spouting Spirits. Spirit Link reduces damage taken by an additional 5%. It restores health to all nearby allies 1 second after it is dropped. spouting spirits, healing is decreased beyond 5 targets. That could be potentially interesting to make Spirit Link Totem an even better defensive raid-wide cooldown. Spirit Walker's Tidal Totem redesigned after using Mana Tide Totem. The cost of an X3 healing surges is reduced by 100%, mana cost reduced by 50. Master of the Elements also redesigned. Casting Lava Burst increases the healing of an X healing surge by 30%, stack it up to 2 times. So there's mostly a damage to heal component included for that ability as well. That is interesting. Healing Surge applies Flame Shock to a nearby enemy when empowered by Master of the Elements. That could also be really good overall. That is nice. Improved Earth Living Weapon redesign. Earth Living receives 150% additional benefit from Mastery Deep Healing. Healing Surge always triggers Earth Living on this target. That could be really good altogether. Earth and Harmony has been redesigned. Earth Shield reduces damage taken by 5%. Its healing increase by up to 150% of the target's health decreases. So if the target has a 50% health or below, then you get the maximum healing value. Downpour also has been redesigned. Casting Healing Rain activates Downpour, allowing you to cast a Downpour within 6 seconds. Downpour a burst of water on the target location helps heal 5 targets within 12 yards, increasing maximum health by 10% for 6 seconds. Downpour is twice as effective for Totem Restoration Shamans. Okay, Totemic Restoration. Interesting. Living Stream has been redesigned, now increases Healing Stream Totem healing by 100%, decaying over the duration, so Healing Stream Totems should have a little bit more punchy value when you do use them. That could potentially swing it to maybe make Cloudburst Totem less of a lock-in, but more of like a situational choice. Lava Surge is now learned at level 12, so it's no longer in a talent tree. Current Water Zone reduces the cooldown of Healing Tide Totem by 45 seconds instead of 30 seconds. That could be good. Mana Tide radius increased to 40 yards, as well as a couple of other updates that are mostly just amping up the healing and adjusting the values of things, but nothing as huge as some of the other talents we take a look at here. And overall, I wish I could really just go sit down and test a lot of these changes right now, currently, but all we could really do is talk about the hypotheticals of what these updates could potentially mean when it comes to playing the Shaman going forward. Tomorrow, hopefully we'll have yet another build for the War Within beta, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to test a lot of these changes and go through them, maybe show off a little bit of how Shamans are performing after all of these updates. But I'm very excited to see what kind of an update they're getting. The fact that the class is getting a new raid buff, I think is super exciting. The fact that you are going to need a Shaman in every build, I think is going to make maybe a little bit more difficult for certain guilds to try to optimize what the roster is going to look like, because now you have you basically need every single class in the game roughly in order to fill out a raid. So we need everybody playing everything at all times. But I think this does give Shamans even more of that potential, because Mastery is a big value stat for certain classes, and for some it's a direct damage increase overall. So I'm very excited how I actually have a class that increases Mastery. This is kind of crazy, honestly. I never thought we'd have one. I always thought haste increases, possible. Crit, potentially. Versatility, have done that before. But Mastery, I don't think we've really ever had too many, and I think this is the first time in a long while. Maybe back in WoD we had classes that gave some kind of a party buff with Mastery increases, but that's really the only expansion I can think of. This is exciting overall though. Cannot wait to try it out. Hoping that things such as your Totemic Enhancement, your Stormbringer Elementals, as well as Farseer or Totemic Resto will be just as strong as ever, or even better, or maybe even in terms of Stormbringer Ellie functional for once. But I'm very excited to see what are some of the other updates that are going to be available as of tomorrow's build. Hoping that Rogues at some point get this kind of a set of changes, but Shamans, I feel like are definitely eating good with this whole new set of adjustments. But who cares, honestly, what I think about this potential change to Shamans? I want to hear you guys' thoughts in the comments down below. What are your thoughts on every single one of these sets of changes? What do you think about elemental changes? What do you think about rested changes? Enhancement, or the lack thereof? Not too many changes, but maybe no point of fixing what isn't broken. Also, what are your thoughts on Shamans getting a raid buff? Do you think it's a good move? Do you think it's a bad move? Maybe they should remove raid buffs rather than start giving them out to everybody. What direction do you think they should go? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. As per usual, if you guys enjoyed this video or found it informative, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. And as always, in the description of every single video and live stream, we have a link to our Discord community channel. Probably the best place to reach out to me directly in case you want to let me know what you thought about this video or hang out with the rest of the community to discuss some of the upcoming changes. join our Discord to become part of the community. But otherwise, thank you all so much for watching this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know all of your thoughts down below, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.